right, and to the point begins right now. The hashtag, as always, is to the point at Linda_Alila. TV47KE across all our socials, and well, 22047 is the SMS short code. You can drop us a comment, and the lines will be open as well. You can call us live as we continue with this conversation. Today we do not have one that is quiet and comfortable. We always say that to the point gets us to spaces where we speak about those conversations that we're never too bold to address. This one is not as uncomfortable, but equally very, very important. With a high rate of divorces, we just want to look at harmony in marriage, the significance of fostering a fulfilling and lasting relationship. Of course, that is the role that harmony plays. Maybe this would be that one conversation, that one factor that will make sure that you change your mind and you save your marriage. So let's get to this. Of course, delighted for the very first time at night to have Dr. Jane Kimani. Thank you so much, Daktari, for always being present to speak to the people.
Thank you.
And right next to Daktari is none other than Grace Destiny. Grace, we meet for the first time.
Yes,
for the very first time on set. I have seen you a couple of times. I always watch you.
Yeah, but not this show.
But not on this particular show. It's good to have you, counseling psychologist. Thank you so much for creating time. We all understand just how much counseling is crucial in making sure that we have, good relationships. And lastly, we have Dr. Julius Kimani, a relationship coach as well. Thank you so much, Dr.
Good to see you, Linda.
Dr. Jane and Dr. Julius will equally be playing the role of the couple this evening so that they also share their stories. I am told that you're a couple. You're not.
Came to share stories.
No experience. Some of these things really you want to have some element of, someone's experience so that it makes Linda. So much sense. So
yes, yeah, we were a couple.
Yeah, you are.
When we last tired.
Okay.
And we still are.
It's a beautiful thing. Perhaps the first question then would go to you, the two of you. What is this one factor? What is your definition of harmony when it comes to your own special case? We start with you, Daktari.
The way I would define it, Linda, is being an individual first, knowing who you are, and the moment you know who you are, then it gives you an understanding. It's like, I would say, it's like the orchestra.
Yeah.
You find in music instruments, they have different instruments, but each plays a chord that connects with the other one. But each is an individual and it is whole. So for me, I say it is being that individual who understands themselves, and then the moment you understand who you are, then you can become a complement to the other person.
How do you define harmony, Dr. Jane, in your own space?
I think in my own space, I would number one, start with harmony between me and myself.
Okay. Because
I can never harmonize with anybody else unless I've got peace with me, peace with who I am, and peace with who I am consistently becoming. We are dynamic with time, because I think that's a missing link, Linda. A lot of people grow with time, but you don't know how to make peace with who you're becoming in the new environment, the new job, the new career, the new friends. Perhaps with the children getting out of that cage, now they're no longer babies. Perhaps you used to bond around the babies. So you first need to find you. So when you first find you, then you've got enough space for somebody else to be accommodated. If you're looking for another person to complete you, you will never find harmony. Harmony starts with you finding you, knowing what you want, knowing what is wrong for you, knowing what is right for you, and then you can be able to understand what's right and wrong for the other person.
Right.
So I believe harmony is much more loving me first. And when I love me so completely, then I can be able to reach out and love.
Oh, beautiful. As you extend some love and grace, on a psychological or at a psychological perspective, what would be your explanation of what harmony in marriage then is?
There's harmony and harmony in marriage. We are dealing with harmony in marriage.
We're dealing with harmony in marriage.
Yes. According to me, harmony in marriage is the beauty of uniqueness that comes with confidence of who you are, knowing that you don't have to change for anyone, that you're good the way you are, and that you're complete. As Dr. said, you cannot be confident with something that you don't know. So you have to know yourself first, appreciate yourself, then be key in who you are, be stable, then connect with someone who sees the beauty of your uniqueness and gets attracted to it.
You know, I am a bit confused. Because then in this space of marriage, in this delicate space, you're constantly advised to get much into it, ready to adjust, perhaps be edited. And I'm sorry to say this, because then there are times you come there confident, having known yourself. But what it is that you know about yourself does not make your partner happy. It's perhaps a negative factor that you might need to work on. So at what point then do you stick and say, you know what, you just have to align and you just have to love me the way I am, in as much as what I am presenting to you appears to be negative?
If we go back to dating, and the moment we meet, most people don't even know who they are by the time they are meeting. I look at you, you look at me, we admire something from each other, and we connect. Two individuals who don't know each other, and that becomes the problem. So I walk into your life, or into his life, and he walks into my life, and I want to change him, and he wants to change me, because he also doesn't know what he wants, neither do I know what I want. The beautiful thing is that people adjust. The ugly thing is that some people hurt in the process.
Okay.
As you try to adjust to make someone else happy and to become what they want, you lose yourself a whole chunk. That should not be the case. The case should be this. As we grow up, as we raise our children, as we grow, unfortunately, that's not what happens. Kids should be taught to be completely themselves. Then in this walk of life, you will meet that person who loves you for who you are, who actually gets attracted to the version of you that is.
That I am short-tempered, Daktari, and that I mean, does this then involve having harmony with yourself? That I have known myself, I am short-tempered, I am loud, I can provoke someone, quite provocative and all that, and you just want to be you and have harmony in yourself or with yourself in that level, knowing very well that these are some of the things that would trigger, you know, an element of perhaps tussles within the marriage.
You know, like when you're doing premarital counseling now professionally, number one thing we need to work on issues that will bring antagonism. Because there are issues in our traits and characters which at times we hold so dear, but you need to let go. Because perhaps you need to learn, and you know, it takes a genuine friend, and that's what, when you come to us now as counselors, that's when I will tell you genuinely, from what we've had a conversation with you, perhaps your anger has been the reason that things have been going down. And then we work from backwards to the root of that anger, and we heal you from the past. Others, it is baggage. You cannot walk into a relationship successfully carrying baggage and you expect to be a happy person. Neither expect to make somebody else happy. So when we talk about the negative traits, those are things to let go. There are things in life you need to understand. At this point here, I need to let go. At this point here, I need to accommodate. And there is what you call the process of time. Between letting go and accommodating is a process. That I know this person is easily triggered. So I need to be very careful on what triggers you. Even as you work on your root of anger, for example, your root of bitterness, your root of foul words. As you work on them, let me not do a trigger. So I believe, yes, we should not accommodate the negative traits that bring us so much pain, because at the end of the day, it will end up in a divorce. But we need to work on becoming a better you. I believe in life, you constantly have to become a better you.
Well, strategically, then one has to position themselves in a way that will help them try and strike a balance, you know, to the individual needs, the individual desires, the individual's position, you know, the individual harmony, at the same time to make sure that at least you're able to promote marriage and harmony at that particular point. So how do we then incorporate, and what are some of these strategies that one can then incorporate to achieve this, Daktari?
What I would say is that the good book says two cannot walk together unless they agree. So you have to agree that you actually need each other. Because marriage does not work where there is no need. If somebody is saying, I don't need you, then it won't work. Because marriage is a thing of needing each other. Looking at that other person and realizing, I need you in my life because of 1, 2, 3 things. And that person also recognizing that they need you. Because when God created man, he created man with a need for help from the woman. And therefore, that man has to realize that there's something I need from her. Right. But when you come to a place where you are able to throw hands and say, I don't need you in my life, then that marriage cannot work, and it cannot have harmony. So it has to begin with that realization that you need something from that other person.
Yeah.
It could be the support that they have. It could be the knowledge that they have in what you're doing. And so when you sit down and you're setting up future goals, there is something that you're working together. There is agreement. The other thing is recognizing the weaknesses of the other person. Because most people come into marriage with such high level of expectations, and they keep on getting disappointed every time. Because maybe you're expecting your husband to be this way, or your wife to be this way, and then they come short of those expectations. So there is always disappointment. I prefer that you walk into a relationship with the expectations very low and keep on having a gratitude. You know, when you see that they have achieved something that you never even expected they could do that, then you say thank you. And you tell God thank you for them. Right. So there are so many things that you can be able to do to make a harmonious relationship. And one is, as I said, be that individual. Number 2, need that person. See some things that you need in that person. And that number 3 is also your expectations. Let them not be so high, but have a heart of gratitude as you walk through the journey of marriage.
And briefly, before we come to you, Dr. Jane, how then do we fuse these many things that we can use to make sure that we strategically work on harmony towards us having a long-lasting marriage? How do we fuse this to ensure as well that we have shared goals and values that then will help us attain this aspect of harmony?
I think everything is about discipline. Yeah. Everything is about discipline. And discipline involves you giving your best. You know, what happens, Linda, is that a lot of people, when they get to marriage, they lack 2 things. They lack discipline and they lack good manners. And those are the basis, very simple things. Those are the basis where a lot of marriages are hurting. A lot of marriages are not moving forward. Good manners is a word like thank you, sorry. You know, just that can take you a long way in your marriage and create harmony. Just the fact that you recognize I did a good meal for you and you say thank you, good manners. When you go visiting, you say thank you for a good meal, isn't it? You know, small things. Marriage is not built by the big mega things, you know, that 99 stone block. It is a small things of understanding. This person, when I appreciate them, they are able to come together. So work on what you can and let it be precept upon precept, line upon line. Don't try to do everything at the same time. That now I need to be successful in marriage. So I'm going to do this and this and this. I'm going to change this one. I'm going to change myself. A lot of people have gone to the path of, I need to change myself. And over time, they don't even realize who they are. Yeah. They are lost in the maze of marriage. And 20 years, it's like, who am I? What are my dreams personally? And that's why I keep talking about personal goals and development. When I develop myself, I will wish for you development. And above it all, you need to work understanding I need to add value to somebody. Keep asking yourself, what value have I added? When you add value, then you are working towards one direction. We are working towards harmony. But let life be step by step. Good manners. Do the right things that you need to do. Keep away the wrong things. You know, like ladies, you know, I keep giving an example of the days when you watch an example. So let's continue.
I thought we agreed that we're going to also share your experience, which is a good. We'll come back to that example. Figure out whether you are still willing to share it with us. But Grace,
yes.
Yet in all these beautiful things that you might want to do as the two Daktaris would tell us, there's always going to be altercation.
Yeah.
There are always going to be instances where, you know, things are just not okay. Mmekosana, mmefuriana hapo ndani, and yet this harmony is needed so much. So, conflict resolution.
As I said earlier, I'm one person who believes in people being real. And there are people who live in a kind of illusion that my marriage is working, when in the real sense, it's not.
Okay. That I am saying sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing everything right, but then maybe my partner is not cooperating.
Yeah.
One of the things that every person must do is be intentional about making the marriage work. I usually say, I won't say sorry for the sake of that person. I'll do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I won't stay faithful because of the other person. I'll do it because it's the right thing for me to do.
Yeah.
When you do things the right way, 100% on your side, wait, because beyond us, there's a power. And I like mentioning it, because we are not the supreme powers. Now, what is happening now? Because I'm sure this topic is because of the issues that are happening in marriages.
Yeah.
There's a lot of revenge mission that couples are doing against each other. As Dr. Jane has said, good manners and discipline are lacking in our marriages. You realize that your husband, I'll use the common of cheating. Your husband goes cheating and you also decide to cheat because your husband is cheating. Now, the question is,
how then can you serve this man a meal comfortably? I am asking.
Comfortably, yeah, go ahead.
I am asking.
Just continue. Yes. Ask for 100 other
knowing
people.
very well that he cheated on you,
Yeah.
you might just think, okay, maybe the best way, tit for tat is a fair game. And sometimes it's actually a fair game.
No, it's never.
So you go cheat.
Let me ask you something.
Hey, and then
So that
No.
now he feels that what you're feeling.
Actually,
probably won't even feel, but
That's
it just
bad
gives you
manners.
some element of...
let me tell you the worst part of it. He's Linda. You know the worst part of it? You're doing it and you don't like it. Why didn't you start cheating from the word go before he cheated?
So that was
Because
not
it's not
you.
in you. That was not you.
Okay.
And actually, the moment you do it because you want to hit back on him, it hurts you even more.
All right.
But if you know who you are, and that's what I said from the beginning, know who you are, be confident in the person you are, then walk this walk. If you meet that person that can hold this package, he carries or she carries your capacity.
Yeah.
And they are able to hold you.
Right.
Meaning, don't change so much because of the other person. I'm now using the negative side, the one of cheating. Don't cheat because someone is cheating. That means change is not a must. When you walk into a marriage, adjusting is, changing is not. There's a difference between the two.
All right.
You adjust to accommodate each other. That's natural. Even when I'm trying to fix my hands like this, sometimes I may hit this way and I want them to hold like this. You adjust. But changing is dangerous. Because if I walk changed from this point, we meet here, I change and I walk this direction. If something happens, nasty happens between us, I'll have to come back for myself where I left me.
Well, all right. Dr. Grace, as well as Dr. Jane and Dr. Julius are the guests that we have tonight on To The Point. The conversation is harmony within the setup of marriage. Just how important is that aspect of harmony in making sure that then we hold our marriages together. Allow us to take a short break and then we come back to that.
Wanasema wasemao kuwa elimu ni bahari haiishi kwa kuchotwa. Wakati mwingi natangamana na wanafunzi madarasani, sio kama mwalimu bali kama nahodha kwenye kipindi cha tasnia ya elimu. Na iwapo utanikosa madarasani, basi utanipata nyanjani nikisaka habari zenye usawa, ufasaha na ukweli. Na iwapo utanikosa nyanjani, bila shaka utanipata studioni hapa nikisoma habari na kuendesha mijadala mikomavu. Mimi ni Andrin Kilemi, mpenzi wa lugha ya Kiswahili na elimu kwa jumla.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible. Join me, Hibak Saeed, on TV47 Business News for market insights like never before.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
All right, I'll begin with this tweet by Oreo. Oreo says that, Linda, well, harmony in marriage is a story. We are surviving. I do not know what that really means. You know, it's just managing or so. That's what Oreo says. But basically, maybe that's what most of the people then would say. On board is Dr. Jane Kimani, as well as Dr. Julius Kimani, and equally counseling psychologist Grace Destiny. When they say this, Dr. Kimani, does it not worry you? Because then reality is that most of the people at the space of home would actually just say, to me, adjust. Adjust sounds like it's the best thing to do, but there's that adjust with that tone here. To me, adjust to. How is you? How is family? Tunangangana to. Tuna adjust to. As in mambo iko tu sawa. And you sold your own, but you're also doing some other things out there that actually are giving you life. Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at this set that we are in here. You are the host, and there's a team behind the scene that are harmoniously doing what they do. And they do it well. The guys at the cameras, the guys at the sound, everybody is doing his part. And what is lacking in many marriages is understanding the position that you're supposed to hold and the role that you're supposed to take. And so when these roles keeps on mixing and you want to be, if a man wants to be the woman and the woman wants to be the man, and that brings chaos. And so there is a need for everybody to understand what part they need to play. If you are a man and you are the provider, what are you supposed to provide and up to what level? As a woman, you are the support. Are you actually being the genuine support in that relationship? And when everybody understands their position, everything moves in what we call harmony. But the unfortunate part, people are moving in, as I said, with expectations. What you say your father do and your mother do in the past, you thought that also will fit into you. I think knowledge is so important, and I thank God for this show, because knowledge is so important in having a successful marriage. Love cannot keep a marriage all the way to the end, because people have divorced and yet they are going all the way. They said, tulikuwa tunapendana, na hata bado mnampenda. Unapata watu wanasemaga wanaachana kwa koti and they're saying mi napenda huyu mtu bado. But what has not worked, there is something that they didn't know about the other person that they never took to adapting. So I say there is a need for deliberate, as she said, intentional knowledge on how to work out a relationship. Because when you get to know that, harmony will kick in. But when you don't have knowledge on how to handle relation, proper communication, you find so many couples will communicate to win a fight.
Right.
So there is never a solution, because people come in, a husband will come in to accuse.
Right.
The woman will come in to accuse. And everybody will be on the defense. Instead of bringing them to the table to have a discussion, how can we handle this issue? And so when that fails, there will never be harmony. So I challenge every couple to look out for knowledge and information. Read books.
At what stage? Where? I'm glad that you say read books. At what stage and where?
Before
you march into it.
Tuache kuangalia. Unajua, marriage ndio tunapangwa, you are given a certificate, then you start now the course. Now, I think there are people who have succeeded because they chose to learn before. And I'm not saying that by having all the knowledge, you will have a perfect marriage, but it will put you in a better position. It's like you know how to drive, so when you're given a car, at least even if there's a possibility of an accident, the chances are less.
Minimal, yeah.
But tu mwingine anapewa tu that day, shika steering, alafu mnaanza kuingia mashimo. So I think people need to learn, be deliberate, be intentional.
Just how much information is out here in terms of, you know, just feeding people with that aspect of knowledge? Because somebody else will tell you, me kusoma vitabu, not my kind of thing. I don't go to church, so I don't have a pastor who walks me through this journey. Well, counseling psychologists are expensive, kidogo.
Yeah, I'll also say at times the source of teaching, our primary source of teaching is our families, where we come from. And a lot of people borrow and they carry from their families of origin, because that is your first teacher.
Yeah.
And you find out of that, they've borrowed the same, brought it into marriages, and it has become very complicated. Let me give a simple example. Some years back, it would have been very easy back home to accommodate a cousin, to accommodate a sister to stay with you, and as a mom, sister, or somebody, they're educated in the family. And so you find one spouse saying, I have my cousin who is jobless, who needs to stay with us. Now, I believe what is breaking in harmony are external forces.
Okay.
One of the greatest, besides now yourself and the other person, are external forces.
What's changed, Dr. Jane? Because back then, we really, actually, I remember my own home. We had very many of my cousins, you know, so and so and all that. That marriage, you know, survived. The irony of this, when you say then they're external forces, today we don't get to, you know, to accommodate so many of them. But in the moments that we accommodate them, why should they be a dividing factor?
Now, here is the point. Those days, it was a tradition that was in harmony.
Okay.
But you have broken some traditions away. So at times there is this conflict of, I would like our people here. Are we together? Yeah. And at times you find a relationship is so crowded because somebody feels like you took your family to educate them, you're not educating my family, and now therein finances begin to become an issue. The other thing, when I talk about external factor, it's not necessarily people who are living with you. Right. External factor is also the external influences. What are the influences that make your mind, that teach you? Because you said people don't go to books much.
Right.
So you're taught by influence, you're taught by situations, and you're taught by whatever is laid ahead of you, and the people you'd look up to as your mentors. What is the influence that is training men to be men, women to be women in this generation? And what mold is there that is already created for them to be trained? And a lot of the influences, like you had said before, is about the revenge thing. Alifanya hivi, pia naenda ufanye, wacha pia naesikie. So these are some of the influences. The influences are the mindsets that people borrow also from other men who have failed in their marriages, and perhaps even succeeded, and you may not necessarily pick the best. The question I keep asking any couple, who is your influencer? Who drives your mindset when it comes to a relationship? Because there are very many. At times the conflict comes in friends. Who are your friends? Perhaps one spouse is not in agreement with your friends. Or your friends take all your time and your positive energy. By the time you come home, you're just empty and drained.
Okay.
And so they feel like you're irrelevant. You get what I'm saying? Since you got this one, now that one is like the next partner. And a lot of people are running to friends who they feel like they understand and accommodate them, and they come home dry and empty because they've poured out their best, and yet they want to eat, drink, sleep, and make it a day. So I'm asking so many times, what are the influences? Could the influence be a new career?
Okay.
That you have given your entire life on and you have neglected everything else? Could it be a new business? Could it be competition in the marketplace? Could it be what you see in social media? Because this is what I see, this is what I think I should become. This is a kind of a man or a kind of a woman I expect you to become. Because that is a person who is being portrayed to the society.
Wow,
yeah.
Interesting. Grace, let's talk to these ones, the Oreos of this world that say, you know what, we are managing, we are surviving, we are adjusting. and they have lost it. They have drifted apart.
Yeah.
They are perhaps struggling to reconnect. They are finding it difficult. Just how do they get themselves back?
It's a question you asked, or maybe a statement that you made, that how do we get together? I'm just paraphrasing. You asked, what is the common factor that brings people together? There has to be a starting point. Just like the doctor has said, you start by before you come in. Unfortunately, many people have walked into marriage with very little or no information. I would like to say that, as Dr. Jane has said, there's a lot of conflict that people are trying to solve from outside, getting solutions from friends, from relatives. You want to talk, you even realize that, I'm sure they'll attest to this. Someone comes for counseling and they pour everything to you. I like asking that person, whatever you've told me, have you ever shared it with your husband? Because mostly it's women who come, of course a few men.
All right.
I'll ask you, whatever you told me, the grievances, the pain you have poured to me, have you shared it with your partner? And the answer is always no. So your heart, you keep it to yourself. You judge, you keep it to yourself. You fear conflicts. You don't want to bring out the case in case it hurts you more, and you'd rather have been quiet. The problem here is communication. Maybe we can start with that.
Right.
How do we communicate our grievances? How do we communicate? Are we answering to that one who is managing and trying to adjust? How do you communicate your needs? Do you present your needs or your demands? Because as Dr. Julia said, you come into marriage with a list of expectations.
Right.
And the other person comes with another list of expectations. Which one are we going to meet first? Where are we going to begin? You realize that the person who feels or who looks like they are scoring the shots, they will actually manipulate the other one. Let me use that for lack of a better word. If I have a stronger soul, and most of the times, depending on what you have, either you're older in age, more financially stable, and many other things, factors that we consider. The other person may realize, if I talk, I may lose a big portion of maybe my position in this marriage. Let me keep quiet. Many people don't communicate their problems.
Yeah.
They share it with outside world. And this is what happens. If I come to you today and I told you my husband did this and that to me, that is my message. That's my information. It's my side of the story. You've not even heard the other side. You don't even know why he did that, whatever he did, whether I did something to provoke what he did.
Okay.
So you're going to counsel me, help me, advise me, sympathize with me, according to this portion of the information that I've given you. And I will take that advice without considering that I also never told you the other side. So I will react with what you tell me that is a product of what I told you that is not the complete information.
Okay.
Now, as I said earlier, how much do we know the value of marriage as individuals, not as a couple? We can never have the same knowledge. We were born from different families, raised from different environments. We've had different walks of life. It calls for a couple, a person, two partners who have the same goal of making it work. That way, I would want to listen to my partner and understand him more, as he also listens to me and tries to understand me more. Right. If there's a message that should be between the couples, between the partners, should be, I would like to hear and to know what you're going through. I'm open. I'm open to what is hurting you. Unfortunately, as Julia said, you will come to me and tell me you've stepped on my toe.
Okay.
And what I'll tell you is that you put your foot on my path. Yeah. I will never be sorry because I have a reason. Everybody has a reason for what they did.
Okay.
You came late and you never told me you're coming late, so I slept the whole night waiting for you. You should have slept. Did I tell you to wait for me? That's the answer you'll get. So which one is the solution, which is the problem? Tomorrow you'll prefer not to ask because the answer is more hurting than the action.
Right.
Communication is important.
It's important.
And I have to want to make my husband happy, as he also wants to make me happy. If we don't meet on that common goal, we are going to adjust and manage.
Well, and in the process of wanting, Doctor, Grace mentioned a very important thing, that sometimes we do not even know whether things are not okay. We all assume that it is all well at this very point. And, you know, we are not aware that we're in trouble. Just what are some of the things that would help us troubleshoot what are some of the things that would help us, be on alert? What are some of the things that we need to look out for just to measure the level of harmony or perhaps just well-being of this family?
I'll start by saying when individually, when you no longer care.
Okay.
You don't care what the other person does. You don't care where they go. You don't care whether they eat or sleep. When you reach that place when you're not concerned about the other person, you need to know that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Number one, with you and in that relationship. Now, the other thing is when communication dies.
Okay.
Because communication is the lifeline of a marriage. And you need to ask yourself, why is it dying? As they have said, it is when you know that when I communicate, there will be no solution. Do you know the reason why there are strikes in organization? When they know we tell the boss, they won't listen. So when you know as a man or as a woman that when I go to tell my partner, this is where I'm feeling, and nothing will change, then that kills communication. So that is something else that will tell you that something is going wrong. Number three, when you see that the things that you used to do together, you're no longer doing them. That means you're drifting apart. You need to ask yourself, and sometimes you find there's that aspect of blaming each other. I think the most genuine thing that needs to be is what we said, communication, and intentional and very respectful communication. Because what tends to happen in a lot of relationships is the lack of respect, where everybody feels like I can talk the way I want and I can say it the way I want. The moment we both agree and we say, let's come to the table and let us air our grievances, what is eating you up? And one is able to share 100% without having to, how can I say it, to point fingers. It's not a fight.
Yeah.
This is what is ailing me. And then you yourself, the person who is ailing, probably if you can, bring up the solutions. Because if, for example, it is my words that are hurting you, then you need to tell me the way you say these things hurt me, and I would prefer that you don't do it again. Now, then the other person has to also have an opportunity to air their grievances and also propose solutions that can be into that relationship. But when that now lacks, where there is respect in communication, there will definitely be issues. So we have to know how to troubleshoot.
Yeah.
And be able to ask ourselves, what can we do to make this thing a better thing?
It surprises many of us that you would find some people who've stayed together for 50 years and they divorce. Then you can't quite understand, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is very possible. Do you know why? Because of just very few reasons. Number one, issues that conflict your heart so much and you are never able to resolve.
Okay.
And the problem is not at times about talking. The question is about how it is received. And like she said, it gets to a point where you decide I won't talk again. And at times some of those people discover so much. Somebody told me one day, I've been able to hack into all these messages and everything. So I know so much, I don't need to keep talking.
Okay.
I'm just done. Kwa hata nikimwambia ataanza kujifanya kwa violent, amekasirika. And we've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And you see, a lot of people have more information than their partners think they do. It is true.
Right.
Nowadays, you'll get all the info. You just need very little money. You get any information you need. And so what happens is they know, even if I lay it on the table, it won't change the situation. And that's why you find the heart begins to get very, very cold.
Yeah.
Very, very cold. You see, for a plant, what it takes, remove the weeds. Water it, manure it, it will keep flowering.
Okay.
But the minute you bring in so much weed and you don't water it, it keeps dying. And unfortunately, that's why people are just getting tired, because it's good to be realistic. And after 50 years, somebody just walks away. If that person was to sit down with you and tell you facts they know, and they tell you even hata nikiongea hizi, there is no point ataziruka.
Lakini daktari, I've sat with you on a similar set discussing the importance of ignoring some things, of not having to go in search for trouble. I have very little money and therefore I can speak to somebody and they can hack into my husband's phone, or perhaps in the middle of the night I can put his fingerprint and you just go to his phone.
Yes.
This comes with a lot of danger. Why would one want to sit down and,
That's a question you're asking. That is you, Linda. But that is not everybody's mindset. Actually, it has gotten very, very deep.
Okay.
Now, for us who are seated there and hearing it, it has gotten very deep. Why? Because people now are feeling, I don't want to work in the dark. For me, there are people I'll advise, don't even waste your time. And I know I've said that many times.
Yes.
But if somebody has already done it and they have the fact, you won't tell them, ignore what you saw.
Okay.
And I say these things. There are issues in conflict resolution that you need to ignore. And I keep telling people, don't look for fire. Utaipata.
Itakuchoma.
Na itakuchoma. And now, there is a category of people who don't care. Nisha chomeka.
Personally, I'd rather dig and just know who I'm dealing with.
That is, now that's the mindset of a lot of people. Have come up with a new, because when you tell them, they'll say, wacha nijue, let me know more. And then when they get to know more, because knowing is very easy. And now when they get to know, they get so deeply wounded and so angry.
Yeah.
What are we dealing with in a lot of marriages? Because not every marriage is angry, not every marriage is sad, but there are relationships that are very angry. There are people who have a lot of pent-up anger. Because I realize, kumbe, this is the person I've been dealing with.
Yeah.
Kumbe, this is you. You get what I'm saying? Kumbe, this is you. And they feel like, what? And, they've got not to deal with themselves all over again.
Right.
All over again. So for those who choose not to go the way of finding out, they also know their root and the reason why they find their peace in that.
Okay.
Are we together?
Right.
But for those who are like you, they will want to know what is happening so that I know what animal am I fighting here. And so I keep saying one thing. You need, number one, to never lose yourself.
Okay.
The reason why people find issues and they get so angry and they do things is because they lost themselves.
Yeah.
Never lose yourself and never lose your God. Those are two things I always tell somebody. Whoever you worship, don't lose him, hoping it is a true God. Okay. And never lose yourself, because some people will do things. Linda, there are ladies who never used to drink. I'm talking from a professional counselor's perspective. But they get to know things, and straight away the lady begins to drink. We cannot ignore the fact that, according to statistics, more married women are starting to drink while they are married than while they were single. It's good to face the facts as they are. Right. Why are they getting into drinking? And it's not like this person perhaps, was a wayward person, or this is a person who loved drinking, but somehow they're looking for sources of comfort. And when their sources of comfort are drained, most of them end up walking out.
Wow, interesting. What is the essence and the importance of speaking to those ones that have gone and successfully managed ahead of you? Importance of speaking to counselors. You would actually say that, well, we are 40 years into it and we are counselors as the two daktaris. Maybe there's no need of going to Grace for counseling. Maybe there's no need of going to my pastor for counseling. And perhaps somewhere in between, then you get to lose your life. Just how important and how constant should these processes be all the way?
I would say this, most of the times, people look for help when they have a problem. It becomes very hard to bring young people together and try to help them realize how much it is important to learn about marriage and to work with people who have been there and who have succeeded. The heat of it, yani joto, ya ujana, it makes every young person feel like if you guys have failed, it's your problem. We are here to fix it. We have what it takes. Until iwagonge, then they will know it is the same thing that everyone else is going through. What I would say is, instead of trying to tell the young people to go for help, I would like to talk to us to take help to them.
Okay.
I'm sure if we do forums, seminars, and such sessions, we create awareness of what they need. I've done it many times. I've had mentorship classes, especially for young girls. And when you talk to them, they are like, I'm happy I came because I never thought I needed this. And they won't even think they need it. They'll get the information and put it behind at the subconscious. When the real deal comes, they'll start withdrawing from the store, and they'll be able to apply it. As Dr. Julius said, we don't have to have a perfect marriage because you learned from the information beforehand. You'll have the information like a driver's course. You know, you learn driving, but then you'll always know how to drive when you do it. The same case with marriage. We will not withhold information. We need to give it as much as we can so that we can help those who are coming in and also help the ones that are in. Yeah. As Dr. Jane has talked about people misbehaving in the context of marriage because they feel like the pressure is too much. They look for somewhere else to cool their souls. We need to have ourselves, like she has said. When you lose yourself, you go looking for yourself everywhere. And you end up not finding yourself. So the greatest important thing is let us learn to hold to ourselves. Another point that I would consider maybe is that when you get married, did you go to come out or did you go to stay?
Okay.
Most of the times you have the exit door very much open, more than even the entrance door. We look for all reasons to leave. We know that there are issues that are almost common in marriages that will come in or maybe not, but most of the time, 70%, they will happen. When you walk into a marriage, go there with the purpose of staying. Unless it's too toxic and it may be life-threatening, desire to keep it. And when you meet the two of you with the same desire, as I said, you will find yourselves working it out, whether you have weaknesses or not. The people who have the weakness, many people have stoned me alive and I'm still living anyway. The stones never got to me. When I say that most African men feel polygamous. I don't want to say they are. They feel polygamous. They find themselves jumping, whether with their eyes or with the whole of their body, to someone else out of the marriage, and then they come back, depending on what they believe in and the convictions. As women, why do you have to go digging for so much information when you know very well that you want to be in this marriage? If digging so much information will help you get out, why are you looking for what you don't want?
That is a kind of worms, and I think I would have answers to that, but then again, time does not allow us to answer some of these questions. Dr. Ari, please do not throw stones away, because then she says that men feel like they are polygamous. We have about 4 minutes to close. Quickly, actually 3. Quickly, on the other external stressors, financial concerns, other problems that would actually, push you to extremes that you really cannot manage as we close.
I will say this, Linda. I have discovered when God said two are better than one, it is actually true. It's only that couples have refused to come together to look for solutions for what lays ahead, whether it's finances. If couples can come together and have a strategy and sit down and pray together and think together on how to get out of that financial doldrum, it is possible.
Wow.
If couples would come together when they have children and they are having issues, and really, instead of fighting and say, how can we help our children, they will get a solution.
Wow. Beautiful.
If only they can sit down together and say, let us pray over this issue, there is more unity. And that's what God is looking for. But what happens? Everybody takes their path. And therefore, you get a solution on this side and you get a solution. By the time you're trying to bring it together, it doesn't work because in the beginning, you never started on the table together. So I would challenge every couple, come together, look for solutions together, and you will make it.
And as you look for solutions, the element of forgiveness, I don't know whether I should say, and forgetting, forgiveness, just how much of it?
Number one, forgiveness, you forgive for yourself.
Okay.
Forgive for your own sake. You don't want to die young because of, you've carried too much baggage. So I keep telling people, forgive. Forgiving and forgetting works when a mistake is not constantly repeated. As she says, a lot of men, quote unquote, that is her, I'm quoting, feel polygamous. If somebody felt polygamous, you went out there, felt polygamous, the head was one direction, then I'm sorry, you forgive. Feels polygamous, another in the workplace, I'm sorry, you forgive. It wears you out. So I also want to say one thing. Forgiveness is necessary. Forgiveness is very important. But change brings a permanent situation.
Beautiful. All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. There's some people who would actually want to reach out to you. And nasema niko na 10 years for marriage, but I still cannot figure myself out. Lots of questions coming into that. Quickly, how do they get a hold of you? Socials, maybe?
Grace Destiny, Grace Destiny YouTube, that is Grace Destiny Official, and 2 accounts on Facebook, Grace Destiny. My phone number is 0724 537 530, 0724 537 530.
For counseling purposes only. You want to share?
We're also doctors in counseling psychology. Dr. Julius and Dr. Jane Kimani, that is Facebook, or 0797558660. Yes.
Thank you. You get Dr. Jane, you get Dr. Julius. Dr. Jane Kimani, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening, as well as Grace Destiny, who's a counseling psychologist, and Dr. Julius Kimani, a relationship coach, alongside Dr. Jane. Asanteni sana. And thank you so much for your feedback. We can never have enough time to talk about these things, but the little information that we dish out to you, we certainly hope that is helpful. My name is Linda Alela. It was good having you on this beautiful